Don't scroll. You're about to hear a story that could change the way you think about trust and faith forever. This is the story of Elijah and the widow of Zarephath, and trust me, you'll want to watch till the end. Our story takes place during a time of severe drought in ancient Israel, a drought so harsh that rivers dried up, crops failed, and food became scarce. People's faith was tested, but none more than a destitute widow in Zarephath. Now imagine, a bustling village slowly grinding to a halt, homes falling into disrepair. The marketplace, once full of chatter and colorful goods, now eerily quiet. At the edge of the village, a widow is gathering sticks. She is thin, exhausted, and beyond worried. She's down to her last bit of flour and oil, enough to make one final meal for herself and her son before they succumb to hunger. A dire picture, isn't it? But this widow doesn't yet realize her story is about to change. Enter Elijah, a prophet of God, under divine instruction to leave the safety of his hiding place and seek sustenance in Zarephath. Imagine him now, a man walking wearily beneath the sun, dusty robes, parched lips, yet unwavering purpose. Elijah has been promised by God that a widow in Zarephath will provide for him, but as he lays eyes on her fragile frame at the edge of the village, doubt creeps into his heart. How will she, someone with nothing, sustain him? Despite the scene before him, Elijah calls out to her, "Please bring me a little water in a vessel that I may drink." She hesitates momentarily but sets her jaw in determination. Though she has little, she turns to fetch his water. As she walks away, Elijah speaks again, this time more audaciously. "Bring me a morsel of bread in your hand as well." At this, she stops. Turning back, her face is tear-streaked as she replies, "As surely as the Lord your God lives, I have nothing baked. Only a handful of flour in a jar and a little oil in a jug. I was gathering sticks to prepare it for myself and my son, that we may eat it and die." Elijah feels his heart break but remembers God's promise. "Don't be afraid," he says. "Go and do as you have said. But first, make me a small loaf and bring it to me. Then make something for yourself and your son. For this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. The jar of flour will not be used up, and the jug of oil will not run dry, until the day the Lord sends rain upon the land." Imagine now the pause. Her heart racing, the widow peers at Elijah. Is he serious? Her son looks up at her with hollow eyes. Doubt gnaws at her, but something about Elijah's voice. It resonates. It speaks to her spirit. With trembling hands, she obeys. She uses the last bit of her ingredients to make bread for a stranger. An act of faith, an act of trust. And what happens next shocks her to her core. The jar of flour refills. The jug of oil replenishes. It doesn't run out. Day after day, meal after meal. God's promise through Elijah is fulfilled. For the widow, this wasn't just the story of flour and oil. It was about trusting when it didn't make sense, believing when there was no evidence of hope. Centuries later, you and I read this story, and its lesson still resounds. What are you facing today that seems impossible? Where is your trust taking you, or where should it take you? The widow's faith not only saved her life but inspired generations to understand that with God, even the impossible becomes possible. Are you ready to trust through your drought, like the widow did in hers? Let this story serve as a reminder. Faith and trust can turn emptiness into abundance.